Hello everyone! Now you will hear a short retelling of the film Paddington 2. Enjoy watching! An elderly bear couple who adored orange marmalade were planning a trip to London. Suddenly, they saw a little bear cub being carried toward a waterfall by a raging river. Risking their lives, they rescued the baby. Years passed, and instead of them, the bear they saved, Paddington, ended up in London. The bear now lives with the Brown family and is friends with the whole neighborhood. The owner of an antique shop, Mr. Gruber, found a box of old items once belonging to a Madame Kozlova and suggested Paddington pick a gift for his aunt's 100th birthday. The bear found a fold-out pop-up book about London. It would be the perfect gift for his aunt, who had always dreamed of visiting the city. But Mr. Gruber disappointed Paddington. The book was very valuable and far too expensive for an ordinary bear. Paddington got a job as a cleaner in a barber shop. However, a customer mistook him for the barber and asked to be served. Grabbing a razor, the bear immediately lost control and shaved a strip of hair off the head of the dozing man. Trying to fix it, the clumsy bear picked up the cut hair and tried to stick it back using orange marmalade. His trick was quickly discovered, and when the real barber returned, Paddington was fired. That evening, the Browns went to an amusement park, where their new neighbor, Phoenix Buchanan, was performing on stage. Once a famous actor, he now advertised dog food. Phoenix chose Paddington to open the fair. The actor asked the bear to talk about his dream, and Paddington told him about Madame Kozlova's book he wanted to give his aunt. Phoenix became interested in the book and asked where Paddington had seen it. The bear told him everything. To earn money for the book, Paddington tried washing windows. He pulled out a folding ladder and bucket from his suitcase. But the bucket filled with water became too heavy, and his attempt ended in disaster. Still, with some difficulty and creative problem solving, Paddington managed to clean all the windows on the street except grumpy Mr. Curry's, who didn't like the bear's activities. Day after day, Paddington worked, scrubbing every glass surface in town. The jar of coins gradually filled up. Just one more day of work and he could buy the gift for his aunt. But then he saw a thief break into Mr. Gruber's shop. Paddington chased him. When the alarm went off, the thief grabbed the book and escaped. But the police arrived to find only the bear at the scene. Riding a familiar mutt named Wilfie, Paddington pursued the thief. Along the way, he accidentally switched to riding a swan, startling a man off his bicycle before Wolfie picked him up again. The thief pretended to surrender, then threw a smoke bomb and disappeared, leaving only the bear in the middle of the street, and he was immediately arrested. The thief turned out to be Phoenix Buchanan, who was delighted the police had blamed someone else. He talked to mannequins and dreamed of returning to the stage with a one-man show. The book's pages contained clues to a treasure, which he needed to fund his comeback. Paddington's trial began, and the judge was the same man whose hair he had once shaved, Mr. Gruber didn't believe his friend could rob the shop, but paw prints and marmalade traces were found all over the building. Buchanan testified, claiming he had seen Paddington that night and that the bear hadn't been chasing anyone. For theft and hair-related offenses, Paddington was sentenced to 10 years in prison. In his cell, he asked a guard to read him a bedtime story, but the guard refused. Meanwhile, the Browns began searching for the real thief. Phoenix went to a museum and found the first clue, the letter D. Paddington was assigned to the prison laundry. He accidentally washed the striped uniforms with a red sock, turning them all pink, which no one appreciated except him. At mealtime, the food was awful, but no one dared complain to the prison cook, Knuckles McGinty. Sent to negotiate, Paddington criticized the lumpy porridge, hit Knuckles with a baguette, and smeared him with ketchup and mustard. Knuckles was about to bake the bear into a pie when he tasted a marmalade sandwich and realized Paddington could cook. From then on, the bear was under his protection. Mr. Gruber wondered why the thief had stolen only the book, ignoring more valuable items. The Browns visited Madame Kozlova's great-niece, who told them Kozlova was a famous trapeze artist who had grown wealthy. A jealous magician tried to steal her fortune, cut her rope, and caused her fatal fall. In the safe, he found only the fold-out book, then vanished with it. The Browns realized the book's pop-ups were clues to the treasure. Phoenix disguised himself as a nun to enter St. Paul's Cathedral and found the second clue, the letter C. Back in prison, Knuckles woke Paddington at night to help make marmalade from thousands of oranges. Initially refusing to help, Knuckles changed his mind when the bear suggested his large hands would make great juice squeezers. At breakfast, Paddington served gourmet marmalade sandwiches. The inmates loved it, and the prison was soon transformed. Even the guards read bedtime stories now. The Browns visited, and Paddington introduced them to his new friends, though Mr. Brown was unimpressed that bearded baboon in the middle can't have a single good intention. "We can hear you, Mr. Brown?" The prisoners wanted to help solve the case, but their suspect sketches looked more like a masquerade party. Meanwhile, Mrs. Brown jokingly asked her parrot where the thief was, and it replied, "Right behind you." Phoenix stepped out onto his balcony, bragged about financing his one-man show, and called the thief a blue-eyed charmer, a detail not in any black and white sketches. Mrs. Brown suspected Phoenix was the culprit. The inmates communicated through the pipes. Knuckles offered to help Paddington catch the real thief, but only if they escaped from prison. Paddington refused at first, but after dreaming of Aunt Lucy and feeling forgotten by the Browns, he agreed. They broke into the laundry, climbed through the clock tower, stole the warden's keys, and escaped via the roof. They fashioned a hot air balloon from sheets and a laundry basket, landing near an airfield. But the others planned to flee the country without helping him. Angry, Paddington left, leaving the Browns a goodbye message. Mrs. Brown quickly called him, assuring him they hadn't forgotten him and that they had identified the real thief. They agreed to meet at the station, where the last clue pointed to the carnival train. Paddington got help from the neighborhood garbage collector, while the Browns' neighbors helped push their broken-down car. Disguised as a trash bin, the bear slipped onto the train after Phoenix. The Browns, arriving late, commandeered a steam engine to give chase. Phoenix, whose grandfather had been the murderous magician, found the carnival organ and pressed the keys in the correct order to open the treasure chest. But Paddington snatched the book and startled him. The organ shut, and Phoenix couldn't remember the combination. He chased Paddington until he fell, but when the Browns tried to grab him, Phoenix drew a sword and tied them up. Mrs. Bird, however, knew a few tricks herself. Paddington tried to reach the locomotive with his folding ladder, but Phoenix locked him back in a carriage, uncoupled it, and kept the book, only to be hit in the head by Mr. Brown's thrown ball. The carriage with Paddington fell into the river. Mrs. Brown jumped from a bridge to save him, but the door was chained shut. Just when it seemed hopeless, the bear's prison friends appeared and broke the chain. Paddington was saved, but fell ill. He awoke 3 days later at home, where the Browns told him had been cleared of all charges and Phoenix was in jail. It was Aunt Lucy's birthday, but Paddington hadn't managed to get her a gift. No matter, all the neighbors chipped in to give her the greatest gift, bringing her to London so she could finally see the city for herself.